Hi, I'm Old Sneelock. Welcome to another episode of Old Sneelock's Workshop. Since how the weather's warmed up and I don't need to have the battery on the battery maintainer right now. Might need it later, but right now I don't need it, at least not for the week. I'm going to move the lawnmower back over into the lawnmower shed. Give me a little room to work in here. Now I can't do a whole lot. I got to do floor stuff. No ladder work. Made promises and also thinking that probably not a good idea to go against those because, well, for one thing, promise is a promise. For another, if I hurt myself, it's just going to be that much longer that I got to go through this. I can drive. So here we go. Just like a charm. Couldn't ask for a better start up and run. I got a pretty good trip hazard here and I want to take care of that. Step over that hole. May only be small things, at least they're getting done. Moving forward towards being where I want. That way they'll be handy when I get to moving the heavy stuff. There's still 3 times that many over in the lawnmower shed. That's where I started hanging them, just to get them up off the ground so I could walk in and grab them. Get a few things organized here. These toolboxes are going to be a handful. As I emptied I emptied most of the tools out of the sliding door boxes into this flip-top box and that cardboard box back there, and it's strewn around the bench. I was able to set this one up onto the top of the workbench, but I'll be darned if I can lift the other one. So it's on the floor. There. Now, with any luck, I'll be able to pick this one down off the shelf and set it over here on the bench. Now that's the light one. The heavy one's over there on the floor. That's going to stay there for a while. This is the Sprinch. Scout Crafter had one similar to it. I don't know if it's exactly the same. It says patented. This one's kind of messed up. It's old and dirty because it's been in the toolbox quite a while. Made in Taiwan. And like the Scout Crafter says, I kind of like the Taiwanese tools. They tended to make them a little better than the Chinese mainland guys. Another breaker bar. Quite a few of those. And you'd think, why you got so many breaker bars? Well, because you use it. You use use them all the time for all kinds of things. Not only can you this one's got to go into the bottom drawer, or else up here in the top. Sometimes you just got to reach a long way. I probably told you the story at least once about changing out the starter on the Sonoma and needing the ratchet to reach down in and tighten up the mount screws. Now when you got a universal socket, universal extension, little thing like this, you've seen these before. It's just a wrench with a universal joint, just an extension with a universal joint in it. This one happens to be 3/8. I was able to stack up a ratchet and a bunch of extensions so I was about 3 foot out. And you say, why did you do that? That was kind of awkward. Couldn't you get to it any other way? Well, I guarantee if I could have, I would have. But I couldn't, so I didn't. I just took all the sockets, or I took all these extensions, a bunch of them. Not necessarily all of these, but I have a lot more than 3 feet worth. And I was able to reach down in the Sonoma, and with that universal joint, I was able to just put that socket on the end there onto the bolt, tighten it down, piece of cake. I bought this impact driver because I had a Honda, 250 Honda, high pipe scrambler. It was the early days when they said they were off-road. Really it was a street bike, and they raised the pipes up a little bit and put bigger tire on the back. Didn't change the wheel, just put a bigger tire on the back, give you a little more clearance. Well, I put a bigger Yet tire on the back. I put a big knobby on the back of it. And the reason I got the bike is a friend of mine, I think I might have told you the story before, but if I did, just stop me. A friend of mine ran into a gasoline tanker. Yep, smack dab into the side of it. Bent the front forks on the bike, dented up the fuel tank, just in general made a mess of it. Well, I took the bits and pieces and did what I normally do. I put it together. When I went to straighten the forks were pretty well messed up. Well, I'll take this to somebody who's done this before, because I've never straightened a fork on a motorcycle, especially a hydraulic fork. It's fairly straight for them to work right. So I went down to Angola to the Yamaha dealer. He said, well, I can straighten them. I'll tell you what, for the price of straightening those, I got a used front fork over here that I'm not using. We bought it for an off-road bike. Ended up selling the bike. Never put the fork on. Just been sitting on the shelf. That was a Cherry-Annie, or Seri-Annie. Not sure how you pronounce the name. Italian, I believe. And it had a lot of travel on that front fork, a lot. So I had to make a new stem for the fork, modify it to fit the bearings on the Honda steering neck. Got it all done, put it on there. My Uncle Rex had a farm out on Bidwell Road. And he had open ground, and I didn't have a license, and I didn't want to ride the bike up and down the road because I had a few run-ins. So I asked Uncle Rex if I could come out and test drive the motorcycle. He said sure. So I went out, rode across the field. Bike was handling fine. Engine was running good. I'd done a lot of work on the engine, done a lot of work on the bike, just to get it so it was straight enough and steering straight. Seemed to be working good. So I headed off across the field, got over the far side, made a turn, came back up the other side of the field. Not realizing there was a dead furrow at the end of it. Had tall grass on it, hadn't been plowed or mowed. So I came flying back and I was moving. Saw that dead furrow, thought, oh, I'm literally dead. Because if the front wheel goes in that, it's going to flip me and I'm going to end up breaking something. Either the motorcycle or myself, or both. So I went over that dead furrow, and the forks had so much travel on them, I never even felt going over that dead furrow. It just went right on through. That was a nice running machine. I'd still have it, except the transmission went out on it. I can't say I'd still have it because I went through a lot of motorcycles. But given the choice between getting rid of it and still having it, I'd still have it. Love that bike. I went through an engine rebuild, transmission rebuild, frame straightening, all kinds of things to it just to get it running. Then I did more of the same to fix it after I drove it for a few years. I ended up selling every motorcycle I owned to Dan Church. Harley 74, Harley Trike, Harley 45, Harley Hummer, the 250 Honda. I'd gotten married. Mom and Dad were going to move out to the farm. There wasn't going to be any barn to keep anything in. Kind of like when I moved here, all I had was a basement, and I didn't want to set all those motorcycles down in the basement. I'd just gotten married. I was kind of interested in other things at the time. So I sold it all off, and he took a bunch of it down to Florida and sold it off. At least that's what he told me later. I don't know if he did or not. In any case, had a lot of fun with that motorcycle. And I bought this impact driver so I could take the engine case apart. Everything on that Honda was either hex bolts or Phillips head screws. And with a Phillips head screw, trying to take that screw out with just a screwdriver was pointless. But with an impact driver, by turning this head, you can set this to tighten or loosen. You just put it into the screw, turn the body until it clicks, go in the direction you want it to go. Then when you hit it with a hammer, the body of this impact driver slides forward and the cam spins the shank. Has enough torque and it drives this into the head of the bolt to the point where it can't spin, and it has enough torque from the impact that it'll knock that bolt loose. Never broke a bolt with this, never stripped the head, never had a problem with it. Always worked really well. I think one of the things that happens is when you tighten up a bolt, it puts tension on the shank of the bolt, And when you drive on this, you actually compress the bolt and shorten it. So you take the stretch out that the bolt gets, trying to pull the head down past the surface of the metal, and lets it push it in, stretch that bolt, and then lets you slide it out. Works every time. Better than an impact driver. This is an impact driver, but it's a hand impact driver. A lot better than an air operated or electric. Because even with an impact driver, either air or electric, even pushing on it as hard as you can, it'll still pop out sometimes and strip that bolt. This, when you drive it in, grabs a hold of the head of that bolt so hard it won't strip. It just won't. Like I said, I use this on the Honda, and I worked on that one first when I was 18, and I'm 72 now, so that's 54 years ago. Had this that long. Okay, I got a little done out here, but I'm starting to get tired. I got to finish sweeping up that mess over there, get that job done. I've got the toolbox down on top of the workbench. I got one toolbox emptied into it. I got another drawer toolbox to set up here so I can put the wrenches into that. This one was all sockets, the other one was all wrenches, metric and imperial both. So, okay, let's get this job done. Doing all this without climbing a ladder. Hi, I'm Old Sneelock. Welcome to another episode of Old Sneelock's Workshop. I think that's enough for now. Gaining every day. Got the lawnmower put in the lawnmower shed. Got the floor swept out here underneath where the lawnmower was taking up space. I haven't got everything cleaned up, but it's pretty close. And I'm able to walk through without tripping over everything. That's a big plus. Still got other things to do. I got the toolbox down off the shelf over the top of the workbench. I got one drawer loaded with sockets, ratchets, and extensions. But there's a lot more to take over there. I got a whole box behind me yet to put in it, and a whole nother drawer toolbox, the one that goes on the mechanic's bench. But we're gaining. Looking good. I intended to come out and run wire. Then I realized that I really needed to get the place cleaned up a bit before I could start any new projects. I didn't want to make more mess before I cleaned up the old one. So this was a worthwhile effort. We got her taken care of. I also filled in the trench right close to the building, up where I can't get to it with the tractor. I'll take the hoist off the tractor and hook up the blade, go out there and smooth that off before we really get into the growing season. Get that cleaned up so I can plant some grass, have it looking good. Every day and every way I'm getting better and better. This little bubble that I'm seeing, when I look down, it kind of moves around now. It's just tiny enough, it looks like a golf ball, about the size of a golf ball sitting on the ground up by my foot. So I think tomorrow it's going to be pretty much gone. That means that I'm out of trouble with that. I go back and see the doc, the retinal surgeon Wednesday next week, and he'll tell me whether he approves of what I'm doing, but I'm pretty sure he will. Went and saw the heart doctor today. He said, "Oh, you look fine, you sound great. Come see me in 18 months." So evidently I'm doing okay. That's always a good thing to know. If you have any suggestions for new video, questions about today's video, or any of the other videos on the channel, just drop a note in the comments. You know I read them all. Thanks for watching.
This video is not to be viewed by anyone under the age of 13 in the U.S. or 16 in the European Union without the express written permission of the parents or the legal guardians of the underage person. Such written permission must be on file at the local government entity in charge of enforcing the rules and regulations established by the FTC. Anyone violating these terms is admitting by default that they hold harmless the owners and operators of this channel. Any and all questions should be addressed to your local branch of the FTC.